Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us. K&A Custom Crafts on Facebook.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. I am Ace, and that's right, we are joined tonight by none other than Mr. Trey Collis, and you are watching another episode of Speak Out, and that's right, on the show we're going to be covering all that has happened so far in the NBA playoffs, because I'll tell you what, there's actually been some good playoff games going on. There's been some great series going on, and especially when we get down to the Final Four right now, there's two teams in the Final Four that I would say shocks me a little bit that they're in there, only due to maybe either injuries or lack of experience or either against the teams that they were going against. That, to me, was the biggest surprising part. But before we jump into that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to touch on our first topic of the night, which is none other than, that's right, the Atlanta Hawks. So we're going to start out with this young man that plays for the Atlanta Hawks by the name of Trey Young. This
It's
guy,
a great name. Great name.
Yeah. Well, of course, Trey Young, right? and the reason why I'm going to talk about Trey Young is when you truly think about this guy, all right? The other day, he went off for 48 points again in a playoff. And the biggest thing is the Hawks wouldn't even be close to where they were if it wasn't for Trey Young. This postseason, Trey Young has played ridiculously good. I mean, Gallinari has stepped up. Capella's been rebounding good like he normally does, but he's not your typical scorer. Hader's been stepping up and doing a lot better. But Trey, my question for you goes based on Trey Young. So right now, with the way you've seen Trey Young playing, do you have to consider him possibly putting him up there as MVP of the playoffs so far?
No.
What?
I'm dead serious. If you put him in the Western Conference, he wouldn't be having these games. Let's just be honest with ourselves. The Eastern Conference is a joke. It's just a joke. I mean, it'd be a New York Knicks team. Yeah, they play some good defense. They rough you up. Then they go and play a Philadelphia 76er team who Doc Rivers takes no adjustments whatsoever. He doesn't even know how to get back, like make a different direction to his house, rather less change directions the way this team's playing. We saw that all series long in the past. In fact, that's why Doc Rivers sucks in Game 7's point in blank right there. He's playing great. I would love to see him go against the Brooklyn Nets, and I don't think you'd see have the same performance because I think Kevin Durant would kind of shut him down a little bit. Maybe James Harden, maybe a little bit. I'm just spitballing, but I just think that Steve Nash would have had a better game plan than what Bud did for the Milwaukee Bucks. He's having a great series. Don't get me wrong. He scored 48 points, tied LeBron James with highest scoring conference final game, first game, 48 points. Kobe Bryant was third on that list with 46, so he's in lead company. But, I mean, I'm not sitting here saying that he's the MVP of the playoffs. Heck no. I mean, to be all straight up honest with you, I think, honestly, Paul George is actually probably MVP of the playoffs, the way he's carrying the Clippers and the way he's handling them in the game. We just saw it tonight. He's dead tired. He's playing more minutes than anybody in the playoffs so far, and he's still carrying this team on the back. Grabbed 14 rebounds tonight. Almost had a triple-double score. Even though he didn't shoot the ball well, he still had 28 points. So I think Paul George is playing extraordinarily well. Yeah, Trey Young has a lot of the shimmies and all that, and he has you don't know if he's going to teardrop it or if he's going to do the alley-oop to Collins off the backboard or whatever the case may be. But I think the Milwaukee Bucks kind of figured something out. Yeah, he scored 48 points, but he also scored 30 in the first half. In the second half, he only scored 18. I mean, I say that not – belittling the guy at all, but I mean, they kind of figured a little bit that when they went small ball, they put Brook Lopez out of the game and put Giannis on him, and you saw it kind of affect him a little bit. But he's having a remarkable series. His first playoff, they're making a remarkable run. Let's just not forget, it's not about Trey Young either. You have what's his name, Herder, however you say his name.
It's Herder, I do believe, yeah.
Yeah. So he's saved the Hawks in one game with his performance that he had in the last series against the Philadelphia 76ers because Trae Young wasn't doing very well in that game after they put Ben Simmons on him. Collins come out. If he has a bad first half, he's going to come back and have a great second half. The guys, this team is put together really well, and it's making it look like the Luka Trae Young trade. It's kind of and it kind of makes them look a little better because they're actually in the conference finals, where Luka. Granted, Luka didn't get any help whatsoever. He's basically carrying his team on his broken nerve in his neck the whole series against the LA Clippers. But yeah, Trae Young's playing amazingly well. I think he's way above his years. Yeah, I think he's going to be great. I think he's going to be a superstar in this league. I think he might already be a superstar. But I think Paul George is beating him outright right now. That's just my personal opinion on the MVP race in the playoffs.
Which we did talk about that before we went live. I mentioned to you and I said, you know what? Right now, there's actually one guy besides Trae Young that you have to give a lot of credit to, and I did say that was Paul George. And that was because people didn't exactly know what type of PG you were going to get when it comes playoff time. Because a lot of times when it comes to playoff times, PG is so inconsistent that he's not your prototypical leader that's going to be in the playoffs. But you saw Kawhi Leonard get hurt, and then immediately everybody was like, oh, well, Kawhi Leonard's hurt. We don't know how long he's going to be out for. And so a lot of people were already ready to write off the Clippers and say, oh, they're done. But the thing is now you've seen Paul George step up. You've seen him start playing a lot better. You've even seen Terrence Mann. He stepped up.
He stepped up big time.
And then you even see Jackson, who's been stepping up in the postseason too. Now, there's also another guy too that's not really mentioned a lot, but has hit some big threes so far in this playoffs, and that's Beverly. He's actually hit some pretty big threes so far. And he's not your prototypical scorer, but he has hit a few big ones. But I do give Terrence Mann a lot of credit. I give Jackson a lot of credit. But right now, I got to give Paul George a lot of credit also. But before we go on here, Isaiah is here. Isaiah's saying, what's up? And he's saying, yes. I keep trying to tell Rye Arnard this, and he was talking about what you were saying about the conferences. That's what he was trying to say. And he's saying, Trey Collis, can you mail me 6 slabs of that Texas brisket, brother? I can't get enough of that. It was like I was eating in heaven, eating that brisket.
Man, and then I'm telling you, everyone thinks Kansas City has the best barbecue in town. Texas has the best brisket barbecue, man. I'm sorry. I just had to say that.
No, it's good. And then Isaiah is actually saying that he believes right now that Devin Booker, in his opinion, is the MVP of the playoffs. No. And the reason why I'm not going to give it to Devin Booker, look, I'm not taking anything away from Devin Booker. I think Devin Booker is a phenomenal player. I like what he's done in the postseason so far. But one thing you have on the Suns besides Devin Booker is, and I know Chris Paul missed a few games. I completely understand that. But besides Chris Paul, you do have Bridges and you have Ayton and you do have Crowder. So you do have other guys who can come out and score also. So I'm just saying that the Suns are deep. And so right now, that's why I would not come out and tell you that Devin Booker is the MVP of the playoffs. To me right now, it would either be Trae Young or Paul George, just based off of how they have led their team. Paul George basically putting the team on his shoulders, being like, hey, I know Kawhi's out, but you know what? I got you. I still got you. But I know the one part that really hurt the Clippers really bad was Paul George missing those 2 free throws. That killed them. I mean, that completely and utterly killed them in game 2. They should have won that game, but because of the missed free throws, they lost. And you know how bad Paul George felt.
Oh yeah, I mean, Paul George is what, 86% free throw shooter for his career. He shot maybe I think the statistics showed that he shot 121 2-shot free throws, and he only missed both of them once in his whole career. So, I mean, Paul George is tired. Like I said, he's playing more minutes. I mean, just before that, he hit a big shot. to get the Clippers up 3 at that point. I mean, the guy's been playing remarkable. He's playing deep, playing both ends of the ball. He's looking like the Indiana Pacers, Paul. But I'm just going to say this. I think Ty Lue has a lot to do with the way Paul George is playing, too. I think he's pushing Ty Lue's a hell of a coach. I'm just going to say it. That guy is a heck of – everyone's like, oh, because he had LeBron and won the championship. So did a lot of other coaches that didn't win championships with LeBron James. So let's hold the brakes on that. Ty Lue, he doesn't get frustrated after he goes down 0-2 and his back's against the wall and facing adversity. He basically thrives in it, and he makes adjustments after. Patrick Beverley said it perfectly. This guy makes adjustments more than ever. They change his clothes. I mean, so he makes great adjustments. He's a great head coach, but I just think in this series, Paul George, I feel sick for Paul George just because of that. Because the first one was kind of like a unlucky one. It was in and out. And then the next one was a little too strong off the rim. Perfect. I mean, it's just the way it goes. I mean, everyone misses. Even the great Kobe Bryant has missed 2 free throws in a row. It was just his turn right there. So he really wasn't playoff P to me. Everyone's saying, oh, playoff P in that particular moment. He hit 3 or 4 big shots to keep the Clippers in that game and take the lead too. So, but he hats off tonight. He came back, shot 7 of 8 from free throw line tonight. He made big shot. He didn't shoot the ball well, but he made big shots when they really had to be. He did have 2 costly turnovers. He had 6 turnovers or something like that. But I just think Paul George is just tired. I think having Terrence Mann and Reggie Jackson step up big tonight, especially in this third quarter. Terrence Mann scoring 10 points and help coming off not coming out. He actually got the start tonight, but usually comes off the bench, giving him a lift, and then just Patrick Beverley's defense on Devin Booker. But I want to get back to Devin Booker being the MVP. No way. Yeah, he has 1 40-point game, but then he goes it's always like game ones. He has like the perfect game, right? And then they figure out how to defend him, and then his kind of goes down a little bit. So I think Paul George is playing remarkable. I think he's playing the best ball he's ever played in his entire career, and I think it's happening right now. And I want to be shocked if the Clippers pull this off, but I still have the Suns winning this series.
All right, so when it comes to this series in general, we've talked about how, impressive Trae Young has been. And so with that, though, we do have a few comments in the comments section. We have Callan, who's coming out saying Trae Young for playoff MVP because no one saw Atlanta going this far. And that's why I said I can't. Well, no, I agree with that. Nobody saw Atlanta going that far. Nobody saw them going that far. There's no way.
Well, yeah, no one saw it going that far, but let's just not count. The New York Knicks going to score. Let's just be straight up honest. That was a joke. They wouldn't even be in the playoffs if it was they play in the Western Conference. Ben Simmons can't shoot, so basically they're playing 4-on-5 on the offense.
That one. I figured you were going to go with Ben Simmons against the 70s. And trust me, I understand because if you see Ben Simmons' fourth quarter numbers. When it comes to, my God, it was ridiculous. Like his best game in the fourth quarter, he had 6 points. And I believe it was like game 3, he had 6 points. But most of the fourth quarters, he had like 0 points. And he took like either 1 or 2 shots. And that is because you can clearly see that Ben Simmons is afraid in the fourth quarter. It's like he's afraid to shoot the ball. He doesn't want to cost him the game. He wants to choke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had a wide open dunk and he passed it to a guy who was double teamed and luckily got the foul, but he missed the free throw. But going back to the statistics, yeah, after game 4 through 7, 0 shots, 0 shots in the fourth quarter. That's not a superstar in my making. This guy was an all-star without scoring. Just think of the possibilities. I think it changes scenery. I'm not trying to get on the Ben Simmons thing here, but
you're good.
He just goes to a different team. Works on his shot. He's been babied his entire career. He needs to go somewhere else fresh where they're not going to cuddle and baby him. But Trae Young, I'm saying it, he's playing remarkable. He's playing the second best player right now in these playoffs. But I'm just telling you, if they just got lucky with the draw, the New York Knicks were showing themselves. It's a type of whatever you say his freaking name, the head coach for the New York Knicks. He plays his team way too hard in the regular season, and they're dead tired to come playoff time. We saw it with the Chicago Bulls. We saw it with Minnesota Timberwolves. Now we're seeing it with the New York Knicks. They overthrive, and by when playoff time comes, it's a different animal, and all these other players are rested and have extra legs than what the New York Knicks have. I just think that Trae Young, if he carries his team to the finals, I would say maybe. But I just don't think they're going to beat the Milwaukee Bucks. But I said the same thing against the Philadelphia 76ers too. But I just think that Trey Young just like if he played in the Western Conference, he would have been out in the first or second round. Let's just be straight up honest with ourselves.
All right, so we do have a few more comments that are rolling in here. I mean, the comments are rolling in fast and furious. So we have let's scroll up a little bit to where we have John Alcorn saying, how about the Suns? Well, we're not quite there yet. We will get to the Suns, but he does agree with Callan. And then Christy Wilson is saying, still don't see the Clippers winning the series. Well, we'll get to that series in just a minute. Suns versus Hawks in the NBA Finals. Anybody? And so that's interesting because now we're going to talk about our final predictions for the Bucks versus Hawks. And I'll tell you, even though that the Hawks have come out and surprised a lot of teams, I still don't think the Hawks are going to win this series. I still think it's going to be the Bucks. I think that in the end, Giannis is going to be too much. Like Giannis this postseason has been playing actually like great. I give him a lot of credit for how he played against the Nets. And I know a lot of people will sit here and say that Irving was out. I understand that, James Harden wasn't 100%, but you're still playing a Nets team that was deep. Okay, they're deep. And yet the Bucks were still able to get past them in 7. You got to give the Bucks a lot of credit. Giannis is playing great. I know that Trey Young is playing great, but I got to go with the Bucks, and I actually think the Bucks are going to win it about 6 or 7.
I mean, I agree with you. I think Giannis is. I mean, he's actually making his free throws right now too in this series. Even though it was one game, and he's taking over 10 seconds to shoot these free throws, but he's not unlike Ben Simmons, right? He's not afraid to go to the lane and go to the free throw line. I mean, that just shows the heart and grit that he really wants an NBA championship. But I think the Bucks, even though they lost game 1, I think they found something in the second half that Brook Lopez is not going to see the floor in this series. I won't even start Brook Lopez, to be honest with you, in this series. I'll put the small ball lineup in. I'll put Giannis Antetokounmpo in at 5 because he can guard Trey Young on that Trey Young in that pick and roll. He can contest his shot. You saw how it affected Trey Young. Even though Trey Young beats him off the dribble, he has the length and the speed to do that LeBron James from behind block shot thing. I think they need to – Brook Lopez is his butt on the bench in this series because I don't think it's going to help. Because Brook Lopez doesn't want to come out of the paint unless he's on the offensive side where he wants to hit the corner 3, which he's really good at. But he's hurting himself on the defensive end. If he's going to sag all the way and that doesn't even come off when the screen is going across, you're giving basically a Trey Young, a wide open shimmy look 3 or 4 times a game easily with that defense. But if they make that adjustment, I think and let's not forget, Chris Middleton played a horrible game yesterday too. I don't think Chris Middleton's going to keep playing that way. I think he's going to come alive probably in the next 2 or 3 games. And if Drew Holiday keeps playing the way he did last night, this is the Drew Holiday that Giannis wanted to play with. He's finally coming alive right in the Eastern Conference Finals. I think the Milwaukee Bucks are going to win this in 6. I just have it. I think the Hawks run comes to an end. But I think every games might be close just because of the 3-point shot that a lot of Hawks do. They're never going to give up. Damon Mullen's teams are like they never give up, going back to the Memphis Grizzlies and everything. So I just think that the Milwaukee Bucks just have too much defense and too much shooters on the outside. And I think don't forget about PJ Tucker either. He can get under Trey Young's skin a little bit too. I think it's a long series. I think the Bucks just got caught by surprise, and they're 1 rebound away from winning game 1, and we weren't even talking about Trey Young right now. So let's just be honest with ourselves. So I think I would agree with you. I think Bucks are going to win this in 6.
Yeah, and we actually had a comment on PJ Tucker before that they were saying they don't understand why PJ Tucker was not covering Trey Young to start out because that would actually be a fairly good matchup. But I think that Giannis needs to be more on Trey Young. I really do because I think that's going to be the best option you have at this point.
No, I mean, Drew Holiday's a hell of a defender. Drew Holiday is a master.
Absolutely.
But what they need that small ball, and that's why Giannis needs to come alive. And whenever they bring the screen in with Giannis, because he's going to be the big man, that's what Trey Young's looking for. He's a heck of a defender. He can easily get up there. He's not afraid to leave the paint because he has the speed to get back and the length and the size and the jump and the verticality to recover if he does beat him off the dribble. So that's why I think just leave Drew Holiday on him. Yeah, but when the games get close and he's eating Drew Holiday alive, whatever the case may be, then roll over PJ Tucker to him or Gian. I want to put Giannis on unless it became dire, because I think you're asking Giannis to guard Trae Young and then go on the offensive and do it. He's going to get tired going into the fourth quarter. That's just my personal opinion, but I will leave Brook Lopez on the bench for sure. I wouldn't even play him. I say, dude, you're putting your street clothes on. I'll see y'all in the championship and the NBA Finals. I'm not even playing you in this series.
All right, so we do have another comment rolling in here from John Alcorn. He's saying, Trey, you're fired. How dare you hate on the Hawks?
I'm not hating on the Hawks. I think it's a great story. I just think that they're not. I think they're overstriving right now, and I think they got lucky with a couple breaks. And I think we all know dang well that if they played in the Western Conference, they wouldn't even made the playoffs this year. Let's just be straight up honest with ourselves. The Eastern Conference is a joke. It's top heavy. The bottom teams are just they got lucky. The Nets got injured. They're lucky that Ben Simmons can't shoot a shot in the fourth quarter. Joel Embiid had tear meniscus in his knee. Like, he's always injured though. Seth Curry came alive in that series. Had a great playoff run. He was him and Joel Embiid were the only two major players in the Philadelphia 76ers. I love Trae Young. I don't like the school he went to in Oklahoma because I'm a UT guy, but I got to respect Trae Young. He's a heck of a shooter. He's not only a shooter, he's a playmaker too. He gets these guys wide open as well too. So I just think that they're just young. I think they're going to be a great team in a couple of years, but I think they just overachieved this year. And they got caught lucky breaks with the matchups that they ensured in these playoffs. I love Trae Young. I think he's great. Like I said, I love all these young players. It's a whole lot better without LeBron James, I tell you that. I mean, I'm sitting here glued to my TV every night.
All right, so now we're going to go ahead and jump into our next topic of the night, which is basically we're going to be talking about how the Clippers in every series have gone down 0-2. In the first two series, they have managed to come back and win the series. They dropped to the Suns 0-2 this series. They managed to get a win in Game 3. Now, dropping down to the Suns 0-2 is different than dropping down 0-2 to the Mavs or the Jazz. It's completely different. Okay, this Suns is a whole different team. And so that's why when they went down 0-2 to the Suns, I'm like, ooh, well, right now Kawhi Leonard isn't there, so that's going to really hurt the Clippers. But with the way the Clippers played tonight, and I know that, Chris Paul is just coming back after missing a few games, and that slowed them down tonight a lot. And so that actually hurt the Suns. But if they get the old Chris Paul back that's been playing magnificent this whole year, I don't think that the Clippers can actually come back and win this series. It concerned me when they went down 0-2. What do you think, Trey? Do you think they have a shot at actually winning this series after being down 0-2? They finally got that win tonight to finally get in the win column.
Oh, man. Okay, let's just break this down. They went 0-2 against Luka Doncic.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. It wasn't the Dallas Mavericks. It was Luka. Luka carried that team. If they had any other shooters on that team, Dallas Mavericks would have won that series. Let's just be straight up honest. And then they went 0-2 down against the Utah Jazz. Granted, the first two games, they were tired. They played 7 games. Granted, it was their fault because they went to the first round, 7 games with the Dallas Mavericks team, which shouldn't have been in the same universe as a Clippers.
They shouldn't have been there. They shouldn't have went 7.
But they went 7. Then they only got one day. They got a fly day. They flew all the way to Utah. Okay, all the way, but they flew to Utah. They're in the mountain, the altitude. Say what you want to that crowd, Utah. They go down 0-2. I still believe that the Clippers would, especially with no Mike Conley. I thought that there was going to be trouble because they weren't moving the ball around like they were in the regular season. So yeah, but you're totally right on this. The Chris Paul effect today, I kind of wish they didn't play Chris Paul today, to be straight up honest with you, just because I'm like, to give him another day rest, you can start practicing with the team or whatever the case may be. But you're going to – I think with that and the way they won game 2 the other night, I think it all just came to a crashing halt, and the Clippers just needed this game more. And I think that you're right. I don't see them coming back. They might as well – I think they might even tie the series, but I just don't see them prolong, especially if Kawhi Leonard doesn't come back, which I don't think he's coming back at all in these playoffs.
I don't think he is either.
There's something he has a tear. He has a tear or something, because the Clippers are being really quiet about this, and I don't understand why. But you can just see it that the Clippers fed off Terrence Mann, Patrick Beverley tonight, but Monty Williams is he's a great head coach for the Phoenix Suns. He's going to make adjustments. He's going to know what's going to happen. I just don't see they might tie the series big, but they're not going to Phoenix and winning a game. And then I think I think the Clippers are lucky if this goes 6. That's just my personal opinion. But going back to the Chris Paul thing, I just think that they shouldn't have played him. I think that I think they caught something. I think they figured it out. I think they're moving the ball a lot faster. There was hardly any fast break points tonight for the Phoenix Suns. Yeah, they missed his leadership and everything, but bring him onto the bench. But what really hurt them tonight was Cameron Payne going down in the first half.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that extends your Booker minutes, and that also extends your Chris Paul minutes as well. And Chris Paul is no young chicken as well. He's 36 years old. But if Cameron Payne doesn't play, it could get a little interesting. But I think Cam Payne's going to play. I think they're just being cautious because they already have 2 games, and they didn't really need this game. I think they're just being cautious. I think Cam Payne's going to play, and if he does play, I think that's going to help the Phoenix Suns. And I think the Phoenix Suns are they're younger, they're more talented.
They're deeper too.
They play 9 guys. They play 8 to 9 guys. You don't see that in the NBA.
They're
anymore.
deeper. They're definitely a deeper team, and so that's why I would say the Clippers are really in trouble without Kawhi Leonard. Now, if they had Kawhi Leonard, then I would say absolutely they could come back and win the series. Oh, yeah. Absolutely, but without Kawhi, no, they're not going to come back and win the series. It's just like you said, they could potentially tie it. Do I think it's going to go 7? No, I don't even think it's going to go 7. I might say, I'm going to say right now and say 5 or 6 if they can even come back and tie the series. And I don't know if they will. I just don't think that they have enough. I think the Suns are going to be – the Suns are too much, I think.
Granted, I'm rooting for the Suns in this series. I was kind of happy the Clippers won in a way, because that means we get more basketball. We don't get this week-long layoff we get games every night at this point. So I was like, yay, but now I'm like, all right, we all know the Suns are the better team. I don't think Booker and Chris Paul are going to go 5 of 20 combined in the first half.
That first quarter that they were shooting, man, that was a bad first quarter. But you could clearly see that little bit of a layoff for Chris Paul kind of made a little bit of a difference. It did hurt him.
Well, yeah, everyone's like, yeah, he's rested, but he hasn't been able to practice with his team either. He's had to stay in Los Angeles while his team had to be playing. But no one's talking about this either. I think that mask kind of affected Booker a little bit tonight too. I don't think he was comfortable with it, wearing it at all. Shots that he was making he was missing. It was just a bad game for the Phoenix Suns. Which they won 8 straight playoff games. If they give them a break. I mean, good God, they're the better team. They're the best team left in the playoffs. To be honest with you, I'm saying that because Kawhi Leonard's not playing the Clippers. If Kawhi Leonard was playing, I'd say the Clippers are going to win the NBA championship. But I do want to touch on something real quick before we move to another. Why is Kawhi Leonard not sitting with his team?
I don't know. That's kind of a
I hear about he's in these team meetings and he's making adjustments. He wasn't in the arena in the Phoenix. He wasn't in an arena. He's sitting in a box office. He's not anywhere with his team. I don't get it. Kawhi Leonard just beats a drum to his own drum, I guess. But to me, be on the floor. I think your players will love, your teammates will love it if you're on the bench with them, coaching them and seeing what you saw instead of being in the press box. I mean, not just me, but.
All right, so let's get to a few comments we have in the comment section here. So Isaiah's saying, what do you guys think of the Cavs actively shopping Colin Sexton? To me, it's kind of interesting because we saw how bad the Cavs were this year. Now you want to take one of your pretty much your best player. Now you're like, now we're going to go ahead and shop him. They already got rid of Drummond, but Garland is still there. But now you're taking Sexton and actively shopping him. Are you kidding me?
The Cleveland Cavaliers are the stupidest organization in the world.
Hold on. You're forgetting about my team.
No. Cleveland Cavaliers are stupid, dude. Let's just be stupid. You got a number 3. You're probably going to get Evan Mobley, right, out of USC. You
Us?
pair him on. No. I'm talking about the Cleveland
Oh,
Cavaliers.
I was like, no, okay.
You have a great scoring point guard. You have Evan Mobley. You're building a pretty good thing here, right? And then you want to trade your best player. I just don't get it. Maybe for a better draft pick. I don't know. Maybe get 2 draft picks. I don't know. But I just don't understand. I never understand what Cleveland Cavaliers do. Now, your Detroit Pistons, they made the playoffs. They're not always a laughing stock. Let's just be honest.
We're a
with
laughing
ourselves.
stock, dude. We're a laughing stock.
Yeah, well, that laughing stock just got you one of the best players in the NBA draft ever going to one of probably the biggest draft.
Cade Cunningham, no doubt.
And I saw a report today where they're actually looking at maybe trading the number 1 pick. Are you serious?
I'm telling you, dude. I'm telling you, the Pistons are the one organization that, trust me, I've been a Pistons fan my whole life. And that's why, even though we had the number 1 pick, everyone is just messaging me going, hey, congrats, you have the number 1 pick. I'm like, yeah, and trust me, the Pistons are going to find a way to screw it up. I guarantee they're going to find a way to screw it up.
You have Cade Cunningham. That guy's going to be a baller in this league. The only reason I don't think they take him is Cade Cunningham shows a big old hissy fit. He says, I'm not going to play for y'all, whatever the case may be. But I would not trade that pick. Cade Cunningham's going to turn a franchise around. He's a defender. He can shoot the ball. He's a playmaker for other players. You saw what he did at Oklahoma State. This guy is a true 6'8" great player. Y'all just want to be. I'll keep the pick. Just keep the pick.
Exactly.
Just keep it.
It's a no doubter. Like, it's a no doubt first pick. If you keep the number 1 pick, it's no doubter. You're going with Cade, and there's absolutely no question. But let's go ahead and so the next comment was, I want the Suns to win. That came from Randy Cox and Christy Wilson saying, when CP3 comes back, the Clippers are doomed. Well, he did come back tonight, and I know what you're probably saying. You're probably saying when he's completely healthy again, and when he's actually able to play like the old CP3. And yes, you're going to be right. If he can return to the old CP3 in Game 4, it's lights out for the Clippers. And then Brandon Herrera saying, how about the Wolves 0 draft picks for the 2022 draft? It's the Minnesota Timberwolves. And then Brandon Herrera saying, I hope the Clippers win, just to shut up the Lakers fans. And Trey, what's funny too is we talked about this before we went live, and we said, man, this would be the ultimate, like, screw you to all the Lakers fans that have been out there going, I hope the Clippers lose. I hope the Clippers lose. I hope the Clippers lose. It's nice to see them lose. And if the Clippers were to actually come out and actually win the finals, like, these Lakers fans would be like, oh, that's crap. You know it's coming. You know it would be coming.
Well, you're already hearing it a little bit, right? How fast some people, won't say any names, started to become Phoenix Sun fans after they've been dogging them all playoffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Laker fans are delusional Cowboy fans. Let's just be straight up on it. Laker fans think that they're going to get everybody in free agency. They think everybody wants to come to LA Lakers. They think. My God. Okay, let's compare it. New York Yankees, New York Mets too. The Mets could win a championship. It's not going to make it a Mets town. Chill out. Y'all have 17 rings to none. They just got their first conference win. Let them have their little moment. Good God, stop whining.
All right, so now we're going to go in, and now they're saying, hey, guys, that comes from Amy. She's reading this at work. Christy Wilson saying the Cavs are run by an idiot. You know, Trey said it best. The Cavs are completely run by an idiot. It's the Cavs. It is the Cavs. That's why it doesn't surprise me that the Cavs are shopping Sexton at all. It just doesn't surprise me. And then Brandon Herrera saying, did Trey say the Cavs are the stupid team in the NBA? Hold my beer, said the Wolves.
Okay. First off, if LeBron James doesn't come to Cleveland, let's just be. LeBron James fell in the Cleveland Cavaliers first time around, made them kind of relevant. Before LeBron James got there and after LeBron James got there, this team sucked. They couldn't do anything right. They couldn't draft players. How many first round picks did they get? How many first round picks in a row did in the first 10 years? They got LeBron James. They got like 3 or 4, right? They're the darlings of the NBA lottery. The Timberwolves actually made playoffs every now and then without a superstar. I'm just saying they're not as bad as the Cleveland Cavaliers. Even though the Cleveland Cavaliers won championship.
They had a few guys. The Timberwolves had a few guys.
Yeah, I mean, they had Kevin Garnett, Terrell Sprewell.
Absolutely, but
Wally Zerbiak. I'm just kidding.
All right, but before we go too far into that, we're going to go into our next topic here, which is basically who means more to their team. Do you think that Kawhi Leonard means more to the Clippers, or do you think that Chris Paul means more to the Suns? Now, for some people, this might be an absolute easy question because, I don't know, to me it kind of is. I'm kind of thinking in a big series like this is when you need Kawhi Leonard because this Clippers team isn't as deep as the Suns team. So this is why Kawhi right now would mean more to the Clippers than Chris Paul would mean to the Suns. Trey, would you agree with me on that? Kawhi Leonard means more.
Yes. It's not even a question to me. I'm being straight up honest with you. People are forgetting that everyone Chris Paul is the savior of this Phoenix Suns team. Y'all do realize last year the Phoenix Suns went 8-0 in the bubble. They were playing the best basketball everybody at the end of the season. This team was clicking. This team improved their win totals 25 games, 15 or 25 games each year since Monty Williams became the head coach of the Phoenix Suns. Chris Paul, yes, he's helped him along the way, got the number 2 seed. He's a great floor general, but like you saw tonight, he kind of hurt the team because his team is riding momentum. They're running, they're pushing, they're playing defense, they're playing hard. They kind of relaxed as they got Chris Paul. Now, I think that will change in Game 4, like we've been saying. But Kawhi, I think that you're going to see, especially in this series, Paul George is playing astonishingly well for Chris Paul, but he's getting tired. He's playing more minutes than anybody. I don't even think he took a break until the last 2 minutes of the game tonight in the second half. I think they're just going to get – and this is where Kawhi Leonard, he can play defense. He can score. He can take the load off of Paul George. He can take the load off all these other players. We saw it in Toronto. We saw it in San Antonio. Kawhi Leonard is the face of the LA Clippers. I think this is a series that's going to haunt them. And I think without Chris Paul, if both of them didn't come back, the Suns would win this series. And that just tells a tale right there. I just think that Kawhi Leonard's way more valuable than what Chris Paul. Yes, Chris Paul. Yes, he's led this team to a six. I'm not hating on Chris Paul. Please, no one get that on me. But this young team was progressing before Chris Paul got there. It would have been a playoff, maybe a 5 or 6 seed. Yeah, Chris Paul helped him get to the second best record overall in the NBA. But without Kawhi Leonard, can you really say that the Clippers would be a great team or a top 4 team? I couldn't say that.
No, because the Clippers had already lost twice to the Suns without Kawhi, and Chris Paul wasn't with the Suns. So that's why I was saying, Kawhi does mean more to this Clippers team, and they desperately would need Kawhi Leonard to come back, which it's like we said, I don't really think it's going to happen. But with that, anyways, we'll go ahead and jump into our next topic, which is about the Nets. And it's about, did Kyrie Irving's absence hurt the Nets? Now, when it comes to the Nets in general, to me personally, because you now start to see more guys play that are hurt, and you start to see it more and more and more. And now with this one, though, you actually saw James Harden come back in and start playing when he shouldn't have been playing. To me personally, when you look at James Harden should not have been playing. You could clearly see that James Harden was not 100%. You could even see it when Anthony Davis with the Lakers, when he tried to play. He tried to play. He wasn't 100%. You're starting to see it more in the playoffs, and I get why. They're trying to be there for their team. They're trying to help their team out. I get it, okay? I'm not against that in any way. But what I'm saying, though, is simply Irving being out, that did hurt the Nets. James Harden was also hurt. He was not 100%. So basically you had Kevin Durant that was playing ridiculous, but he couldn't do, everything. I guess as to say it, because he didn't have his other two stars.
Well, you say he couldn't do everything. He was foot shy or foot away from taking his team to the Eastern Conference Finals.
I would say like a toe away. He had like his toe on the line.
I thought it was a 3, man, but Kevin Durant has proven that he's one of the top players in the NBA of all time. I mean, he will be by after his career is done with. But this is why I didn't understand why Kevin Durant. I know it's because of Draymond Green and everything like that, but why are you leaving Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors for Kyrie Irving? The guy is a prima donna. The guy only cares. He doesn't care about himself. He cares about racial issues, but he's not 100% mindset on the team, right? He always says he's like he goes on hiatus for a while. His heart really isn't into basketball. He just put his heart and soul 100% into basketball and worry. I mean, what I'm trying to say here is you just can't rely on. I mean, the guy didn't even come back for the Boston Celtics when he hurt in the bubble last year because of a shoulder injury. He said he's done. He's whatever. Or for the New Jersey Nets last year. Whatever team he played for last year. I'm sorry. It was Boston, right? Yeah, Boston.
For who? I'm sorry?
No, it was New Jersey last year. That's right. Kevin Durant, they signed 2 years. Okay, yeah, that's right. Kevin Durant was hurt. That's why I was getting. That's why I was hurt
last year.
That's right. He didn't even come back for the Brooklyn Nets, and the Brooklyn Nets had to go off and get people off the farm and everything to even compete in the bubble because he didn't want to hurt his stock or he was cared more about other things, which I totally get. I'm fine with. That's what your passion is. That's what your passion is. But that's why I don't understand why Kevin Durant left Steph Curry, a guy who's unselfish, a guy who doesn't care who gets the spotlight as long as the team wins. He's great teammate. Everyone says there's not one negative thing about Steph Curry, and he would have been happier in Golden State. I just didn't understand that. And Kyrie being out, but this is Kyrie, right? You can't really trust Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving can't stay healthy. In the 2015 finals, he didn't play at all in the finals because he got injured. 2016, he hits that clutch shot over Steph Curry to win the NBA finals.
I was going to say though, let's not forget about the finals though, because when the Cavs beat the Warriors though, when they were down 3-1, those next 3 games, like Kyrie Irving went off, and the Cavaliers don't win those games without Kyrie Irving. I guarantee it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is he's wildly too inconsistent. When he's balling. He's one of the best point guards in the league. But when he's just too inconsistent for me. And going back to that, if Draymond Green doesn't get suspended, come on, the Warriors win that championship. Let's just be straight up. And there will be no Kevin Durant. But Kyrie Irving being wildly inconsistent, it hurt the Nets not having that extra score where Kevin Durant had to do everything. Because that's what happens when you have a super team, right? With all these big contracts, your bench goes small. You're only playing 6-7 guys. Kevin Durant, give it up to him, played 52 minutes the other night in Game 7. He played all 48 minutes in a crucial Game 5, balled out over 50 points. But they needed Kyrie Irving. We all knew James Harden wasn't going to be 100% James. He was staying in the corner for a majority of it. He couldn't really do anything off that growing. So, it hurt them not having Kyrie Irving. If they had Kyrie Irving, then, I'll still pick them to win the NBA championship. So, there you go.
All right. Well, right now, if you had to pick the NBA Finals right now, it sounds like you would have the Bucks against the Suns in the NBA Finals. Currently,
I have Bucks versus Suns in the NBA Finals. Yes.
Bucks versus Suns. I'm kind of right there with you. As much as I would actually like to see the Clippers. See, I'm kind of torn though, because I would love to see the Suns be there because of Chris Paul. Mm-hmm. So I would love to see them go. But as much as I can't stand the Lakers, I would like to see the Clippers go too, because I think that it would just drive the Lakers fans nuts. And that is one reason why I would also like to see that.
Yeah, I mean, I would like Paul, any one of these Western Conference teams. I mean, I honestly really don't care for the Clippers that much. I don't like Patrick Beverley. I don't like what he brings to the table. I don't like Morris. I don't like a couple other guys on that team. I really don't. But I want Paul George to win a ring. I think he really needs a ring. I was hoping Kawhi Leonard would bring it to him, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen this year unless he goes berserk in the next couple games. But and Giannis, this is his time to shine, right? Giannis Antetokounmpo, he get that monkey off his back, get free agents to come to you, you win a championship. This is how you get the big agents to come to you. I mean, I'm just saying, he just signed that massive contract. So all I know is I'm enjoying the NBA's. I saw a thing where the NBA ratings are actually going up these playoffs because one certain player is not in the league or not in the game, and they took the political BS out of it. And look what's happening; they're drawing back in. Take LeBron James out. You have all. I said this when we started this show, right? The NBA needs to stop catering to LeBron James. All this young talent, all the playoff scenarios that we have right now, it's just remarkable. It's just fun NBA basketball to watch. You don't know what's going to happen night in and night out. You have Trey Young, he's 22, scoring 48 points. You have Devin Booker, another young stud, I think he's 24, scoring 40 points. You have Luka Doncic going berserk in game first round. You have like a lot of young talent. You need to start promoting them instead of the old king LeBron James. So that's all. I don't care who wins the NBA final. It's just been a remarkable NBA playoffs to watch this year.
And of course, last but not least, we're going to touch on one final subject tonight because I want to get your thoughts on the Pacers hiring their coach. And it's kind of
Sorry, I thought you were asking me already.
No. And it's funny, though, because we talked about this, and this is the guy that we said that the Pacers were going to probably hire as coach. We said that, and it ended up happening. So give me your thoughts on this hire. Do you think this is the right move?
That was a perfect right move. I think it's 14 years in between when he left Indiana, and now he came back. It's after 14 years, right? Mark Cuban is I used to love Mark Cuban, but what he's doing with that organization is remarkably stupid. He wants to save money. He doesn't want to give Luka any help. He sends Seth Curry off. If they had Seth Curry, they win first round. They move on to and I think Rick Hall had enough of this because after the 2011 championship, he dismantled that team. He got rid of everybody and basically was restarting over. And I think Rick Carl being the blow. Saw what Rick Carl did with this Dallas Maverick team with only one superstar. I just think that him going back to Indiana with the young talented that they have, with LeVert coming back next season, they're only they got in the play-in tournament, but if you have Rick Carlisle there as their head coach, I think that it's a great hire. He's a great coach. He's probably one of the best coaches in the league. A really good, nice guy. In fact, endorsed Jason Kidd to become the head coach for the Dallas Mavericks. I think it's a great hire. I think both the owner and the head coach in this situation still liked each other after they departed 14 years ago. I think it's just reunited, and I think that it's going to be great for the Indiana Pacers.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, right now they actually have a few young. I'm not going to call them superstars, but a few young talents there. And Karis LeVert and Miles Turner, and they even have Justin Holiday there. So they still have some up-and-comers that I think he has some stuff to work with there in Indiana. They still need to go out and get a few more guys, which I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if they can attract anybody there. That's the thing because of such a young team.
I mean, bring in leadership. You have Kyle Lowry, he's going to be a free agent. Kemba Walker, he's probably going to get traded from Oklahoma City. Then this talented come
Kemba
out.
Walker, don't you mean Boston? Because he's on Boston.
No, he got traded. No, they just traded him to Oklahoma City.
Correct. You're right. They did. They just traded him to I'm just not so used to the trades happening that fast. But
they're not supposed to.
Yeah, but that's right. They just traded him. You're correct. Yeah. They did trade him there. I completely forgot about that. I saw that. It did happen. And yes, going back to the Mavs, it's like you're saying with Mark Cuban. Even Christy Wilson right now is saying that Mark Cuban is an idiot. I think that the biggest thing right now is we know the Mavericks, we know Luka's here and Porzingis is supposed to be that second guy. Are you kidding me? Porzingis, we know, has not been that second guy. You got to let Porzingis has to go. And
Yes.
you know that Porzingis has to go. They have to go out and get another star to help Luka. Or if you're not going to get another star to help Luka,
You don't need a star. You don't need a star. You need freaking shooters. That's all
but
you really
technically
need.
a star. I'm not saying a superstar. I'm just saying you need a star. You need somebody that can come out and help Luka, because it can't just be Luka, and that's what they have right now. So
Yeah, you need like a Herder. You need a Bogdanovich. You need a Art, JJ Redick. Someone just because Luka can do all the playmaking in the world. They just need someone to help him carry the offensive load, making shots. You're totally right on that. But I will say this: if the Blazers hire Mike D'Antoni, it's a wrap. That's the stupidest hire. I'm telling you right now, it's a stupid hire. Becky Hammond or Chauncey Billups needs that head coaching job to take Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum to where they need to be. I think they'll be a great head coach for the Portland Trail Blazers. If you hire Mike D'Antoni, you might as well never win to see a championship ever in Portland ever again. I'm just telling you that, right?
I'll tell you the move that I was actually excited for, and I kind of saw it coming because once the Pelicans hired him, I'm like, Van Gundy. And I knew once they hired him, like everybody's high on Van Gundy. And I'm like, you know what? That dude's trash. Like he's trash as a coach.
Well,
and then they fire him, and I'm like, thank you. It was the right move because he took our organization, the Detroit Pistons organization, and made a bad team worse because he decided to give up the farm for a freaking over-the-hill Blake Griffin that couldn't stay healthy.
Yeah. Stan Van Gundy came at the wrong time. He's more of an 80s, 90s kind of a coach, get in your face kind of.
The problem is with Van Gundy is when he coaches, he wants like total control. He wants to be he wants to be able to trade players and be able to sign players whenever he wants. That's what he wants. He wants the whole control.
You're right.
And the Pelicans getting rid of Van Gundy to me was the right move because he's not the right coach right now in this day and age. He's just not the right coach.
No, I'm telling you, Mark Jackson needs to get a head coaching job. This guy had one coaching job. He deserves a second chance. I'm just telling you that. One of the greatest guys in the NBA, great call. He knows his stuff. Just give him another shot, man. Mark Jackson needs to be a head coach.
All right. Well, that was our topics for the evening. So, Trey, any last thoughts for us tonight?
Well, I know we're in this NBA mode right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'm watching this College World Series. The College Women's World Series was phenomenal. If you have time to watch any of these college athletes play, you need to watch because it's people who love the game, teams that love the game, young players who are playing for a championship instead of money and other things. It's just fun to watch. To give them heart and soul. It's just, if you have a chance, watch it because it's very fun to watch.
All right. I will make sure that everybody, all of our viewers know to go ahead and check out the World Series. All right. So thank you, Trey, for that. Any last other thoughts that you have?
No, I mean, I'll end on this. I think whoever wins tomorrow night in the Atlanta Hawks series and Milwaukee Bucks wins the series. I will say that. All
right. So thank you, Trey. It was another great episode of Speak Out. I loved it. We had some fire topics when it comes to the NBA. Now, keep in mind, once the NBA season's over, we're going to be talking a little bit of NBA, especially when big news happens, but we're going to also be talking about other sports too. So you want to keep on the lookout for that also.
Football preseason is 5 weeks away.
Yeah, it's close.
It's
close. I mean, it is right there.
I'm excited.
I'm super pumped for that. So everybody keep an eye out for that too, because we're going to be talking some NFL also. So with that, everybody have a fantastic night. And don't forget to catch some of us tomorrow on Roundtable. If you want to get to know us, hop on there, comment, ask us questions. Feel free to ask us whatever you want. All right. So you have a great night, and we'll catch you next week for another episode of Speak Out.